Good morning, everyone. I'd like to use this microphone. Can everyone hear me in the back? I have the worst voice possible today. Sorry about that. So I am the current president of the American Institute of Professional Geologists, which is an organization in the U.S. It was started 60 years ago in 1963, and we have about 5,000 members, including people outside of the U.S. We represent not only the U.S., but about 40 other countries. And our most important function is that we provide a certification of a professional geologist. So we advocate for the profession of geology, and we promote high standards of ethical conduct. The thing that I'm really going to talk to you most about today is the certification and its importance to Mexican geologists. So I'm a geologist. One of the most important things in my career has to become certified, because that makes me a qualified person under the stock market regulations in the U.S. and Canada. If you're a mineral resource geologist, it's recognized under JORC. It's recognized in Australia. And we participate internationally with a lot of different committees that make definitions, not only what constitutes what is a geologist, but also what it means to be a professional geologist. So I've listed here just some of the different organizations that we have recognition under, so that you can understand that, yes, this is actually a very important career step for any geologist, and especially people doing work in Mexico who want to become a qualified person. So here we have a long list of some of the different organizations that we interact with. One of the important ones is the Global Geoscience Professionalism Group. That includes members all over the world, and those are where the definitions of what is professional in your career comes from as a geologist. It's not just what kind of education do you need to be called a geologist, but what are the things that you need to do to advance to become a professional geologist. Those of you who are geologists and would like to become certified under AIPG, here are some of the requirements. First of all, your education means that you have to have it's a bachelor's degree from a school that says that you are a geologist, a geoscience major, or something that indicates that you had enough of the classes that would be considered to be a geologist. For your experience, you need to have at least 8 years or 96 months of professional experience, and that experience needs to be not just working as a underling in the profession, but as a active person making the decisions, so you can say that you are a professional. So that needs to show that you have increasing responsibility in those 8 years. And you can also have credit with those 8 years, not just for your 4 years of college, but also for your master's degree, or if you have a doctorate, you get additional credit for that. You need to have that experience verified from the employer. So never burn a bridge in the mining industry, because you will need to go back to those former supervisors and ask them to fill out a form that says that you worked under them and you worked doing certain types of work, and they say what those types of work were. Now you're responsible for filling out the information, and then it goes to the verifier, so it's confidential from the point it goes from your hands to the person who will do the verification. And one of the very exciting things that's happened is that I asked to change this from a paper process where everything was filled out by hand or by typing it, and we are going to an online process. We're in the beta testing right now, and I hope to have that finalized in July. So this will be one of the, I'd say, the most impactful things that I could possibly do for someone who wants to become a CPG. because you no longer have to have that piece of paper sent from one person to another. Everything will be done online. I also want to mention that not only is do you need to show that you have the education and experience, but you also need to have verification of your reputation and ethics. So those are called sponsors. And typically you need at least 2 certified professional geologists plus an additional person who could also be a certified professional geologist, but 3 sponsors who are going to verify that, yes, you are a reputable, good ethics person. And there are some workarounds for various things here. So here are some tips for candidates who are coming from outside the U.S. and how to fill out this paperwork. First of all, you're going to need a complete record of your experience. So, for example, if you took 2 years off to go travel the world after you started, that's okay. You just need to put that down that I worked here, I took 2 years off, I took 2 years off, whatever the reason is, just to explain it so we know what you were doing during that time period. Just don't leave those gaps unexplained. And then you need at least 3 of those years to be in that responsible position. So you're the one making the decisions. And the verification can be tricky because if you were my age and now you're starting to apply, I've worked for 15 different companies. That's so typical in the United States. We go from project to project. And so it could be very difficult to find my supervisors who are now dead, companies that don't exist anymore. Again, this is something that you can work around. You just need to explain what happened to those companies. You can't contact a supervisor. And then the most important thing is that you have to have a minimum number of years to qualify for this professional experience. You got to meet that minimum number of years. So the most recent experience and making sure you have 8 of your 35, 40 years of experience explained in your application. So let's see. The other key point, and this is for some of the folks who work for very small companies, is that the verification needs to be a supervisor, a coworker, someone who you're working with who has direct knowledge of your experience, but it can't be a family member or a close relative. So if I'm in an exploration company and it's me, my father, my spouse, whoever, I'm going to need someone other than that close relative to help me with the application. That's just an example of what the application looks like. That's your experience. It's a big process to get through, but because it is a very diligent, well-thought, and thorough process, that's what makes it recognized throughout the world. There's nothing easy, so it all takes effort. I'm getting close to finding where's the magic spot. That was not it. And now I think I'm back to the beginning. I'm afraid to move my arm at this point. So there is a lot of information. If you have any questions, always just ask the national office. They're very, very open to answering questions. We ask for your school transcript to be sent from the school. That's possible in some countries. It's going to depend on what country you come from. Again, if that's an issue, talk to the national office, and they can provide some guidance to you. If you can't find a CPG who you know, also ask the national office. There's actually, at this conference, there are quite a few CPGs here. You just probably don't know if they're a CPG. So you may know somebody who's a CPG, but you don't realize that. Also, there are some workarounds to have 6 professional geologists who aren't CPGs. You just need to provide more references in that case. And the applications are all in English. We're not going to change it to other languages, but The justification for keeping it in English is that most people are using it because they are going to be submitting a document to an international stock exchange, and your report finally at the end is going to be in English. So you need to have some working proficiency of English. And should you be providing any documents that are not in English, you're going to need to have those translated, please. So what are some of the other benefits besides becoming a qualified person? Well, we do lots of webinars. We have technical meetings. We have a national meeting coming up in Covington, Kentucky. We've got a national meeting next year in Durango, Colorado. One of the things that AIPG is very well known for are our field trips. Geologists, we just like to get out in the field. We want to see your project. We want you to see our project. So we tend to do a lot of field trips. And people living in Mexico have the option of belonging to an international section, or they can join one of the sections in the U.S. So, for example, if you live in Sonora or Chihuahua, you may decide to join either the Arizona or the New Mexico section. And okay. I'm just going to keep going until we're told to evacuate. So if you want to come to any of the section activities, you're welcome even before you're a member. Upcoming this year in Arizona and New Mexico, we have a field trip to Copper Flats, which is a historic mining district and a mineral development project near, it's near Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. And then we're going to the Very Large Array. If you've ever seen the movie Contact, the big radio telescopes, that's what we're going to go see. And then in the fall and November, we're going to go to the Cactus Mine and the Ivanhoe Electric projects. And another important thing to think about is here in Mexico, we have the AIMMGM. In the U.S., we have the SME. And AIPG and SME collaborate. AIPG is providing more geology sessions, technical sessions, for their annual meeting in Phoenix. It will be next February, where we're also going to have 3 field trips associated with that meeting. And if you're an AIPG member, you can register as an SME member price to go to those. That's it for me. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact the national office, either at the website or via their email. You can call them, or you can contact me, and my email address is shown there. I don't think we have time for questions, but I'm here today and tomorrow, so please feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thank you so much.